Hi guys, welcome to A Little Less Lisa. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and this channel is all about my health, wellness, fitness, and weight loss maintenance journey. And today I want to talk about how body dysmorphia can happen while you're on a GLP-1 medication. One of you on a recent video that I was talking about, and I had mentioned sort of some body dysmorphia things that I was experiencing, asked me to do a video about body dysmorphia. And so here we are, we're going to do this video. To start out, let me give a little background on my GLP-1 journey and where I started, where I am, a little bit about the process. I am a 58-year-old female. I am a mom of 4. I am postmenopausal. I started my journey in the very end of March of 2024. I had to think about that. It's now that I have to switch years, because before I used to say it and it was the same year. So now we're in a different year and I have to remember which year I started. So very end of March of 2024, as I film this video, we are in October of 2025. So I have officially been on a GLP-1 medication for over 18 months now, about 18 and a half months, something like that. And I take tirzepatide. I have taken compounded tirzepatide as well as the name brand medication of Zepbound. I've taken it in both the shot form as well as I do have, although I haven't taken it yet, I do have some of the Eli Lilly vials that they are selling as well on Lilly Direct. But the majority of my journey has been on compounded tirzepatide. I think I've taken 2 of the actual Zepbound shots, and as I just said, I haven't tried the vials yet, but I do have some in the refrigerator. So really, let's just say my journey has been on compounded tirzepatide. I started just like everybody at 2.5 milligrams and stayed on that for I think like 5 or 6 weeks or so, and decided to move up. Not really sure that I needed to move up, but I think I sort of felt like I should. Got to 5 milligrams, and that's where I have stayed for the rest of my journey. I have tried backing down during maintenance, but started to hear some food noise and things again, so went back up to the 5 milligrams, but have just kind of been working with the timing of my injection and spacing out my doses. So up until very recently, I was taking my shot like maybe every 10, 12, 14, sometimes 15 days. That was a problem. If you missed that video, go back to the previous video where I talk about how I really want to focus on doing a reset and what that means to me and how that also pertains to my shot. I have lost over 60 pounds during my journey. I have essentially been in maintenance now for just about a year. I've been maintaining this kind of weight range because I did maintain like around 50-pound weight loss for probably like 3 to 4 months or so. And then I ended up losing an additional 10 pounds or so. Part of that was having some breast implants removed, but I'm now around the 60-pound mark. And so I've been maintaining that for probably a good 7 or 8 months or so, but technically have been in maintenance since about the end of September, beginning of October of 2024. So, essentially a year. And it's been great for me. I was more of a hyper responder or a super responder, I think, as some people might say. Certainly there are people that lost quicker than I did, but I lost very, very rapidly. I mean, I never hit a plateau. I always consistently lost generally 2 to 3 pounds a week. And I started at 183.8. I had to think about that number for a second. And I'm a smidge over 5'6" tall. I didn't really suffer any major side effects. I had 1 week, sort of 1.5 weeks where I had gone up to the 5 and I was having a ton of nausea. I mean, I could barely eat anything. It just made me so sick to my stomach. So I was taking Zofran for a little while, and I had backed down then to like 3.5 milligrams. So I basically kind of split, or 3.75, I guess, did that for a couple weeks and then moved up to 5. And that was a pretty good transition. And then I wasn't nauseous anymore. I have struggled like pretty much, I think, everybody on a GLP-1, especially tirzepatide, with constipation. I take Mag07 to try to combat that. I've definitely been taking that a little more regularly now because I've been struggling with it again. Other than a little bit of nausea in the beginning and just a continual kind of working on constipation, I really did just fine. I had a few weeks probably maybe 6 or 8 weeks or so where I was getting that like red spot at the injection site. But that then kind of went away, and I haven't gotten that in a really, really long time. That's a very common side effect if you're not familiar with that. I definitely Googled it like when it first happened. I immediately went, I think, to one of the Facebook groups or something and put in red area or something, an injection, and tons of posts came up. I was really big into reading on the Facebook groups in the very beginning of my journey, and then quickly found out that there's a lot of misinformation in the Facebook groups. Nobody should be talking about dosing and telling you what to do about dosing. I mean, that's between you and your medical provider. I mean, I can talk about dosing as it related to me, and however you want to extrapolate that is something that you can do, but I'm never going to tell somebody you should back down on doses, or it's time for you need to move up into, like, again, that's between you and your medical provider. I am not a doctor. I am not giving medical advice. I'm not a medical practitioner of any kind. I can only tell you about my experience and how things reacted to my body, and you can take from it what you want. So anyway, that is a little bit about me. I am really, really focused now in my journey on strength training and, trying to build lean muscle. So I have gotten a series of DEXA scans through the process. You guys have heard me. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I have said multiple times that one of my biggest regrets is not having done a DEXA scan in the very beginning of my journey. I don't think I even knew that they existed then. So if you happen to be watching this video and you haven't started on your GLP-1 journey yet, again, just my recommendation. You don't have to do it, but I know if I had heard it, I would have taken this piece of advice, which is go get a DEXA scan before you start, so you really have concrete numbers of what your body composition is before you start this. So enough said about that. That's kind of where I started, and let's talk about body dysmorphia, what it is, how I experience body dysmorphia, and maybe some things that you can do to combat it. So as I said, I have lost a little over 60 pounds and maintained it for basically a year. But mentally, my body image hasn't fully caught up with what it says on the scale, right? And I mentioned before, I lost a significant amount of weight back in around the 2005 time period, about 85, 87 pounds, something like that. And I maintained that for a good 13 years. But I remember this same thing happening then. It really took me, I want to say probably a good 2 years before I really felt like the body that everybody else saw was the body that I saw in the mirror, and was the body that was reflective of the number on the scale, right? So it takes a while. And so I hope if you take anything from this video, please know that 1, you are not alone if you are experiencing body dysmorphia, and 2, it takes time, and that's okay. I think so many of us expect to feel this amazing sense of confidence and accomplishment when you lose weight on it, however you're losing it, but we're talking specifically here on a GLP-1. And it's more complicated than that, unfortunately. It would be great if it was just you step on the scale and you see that you lost 40 pounds and you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I've lost 40 pounds. I look great, and I love the way my clothes fit and the compliments I'm receiving and all those kind of things. But it's just not that easy. So in sort of simple, relatable terms, body dysmorphia isn't about vanity. It's about a fixation that we have on perceived flaws, right? Flaws that we see in ourselves that others don't see when they look at us, okay? That's body dysmorphia. It doesn't mean that you are this vain person who just wants to be this beautiful, toned, whatever. It's more about your misperception of flaws that you have, or that you see, that if you asked 10 other people, they would never say that those flaws existed because they don't see them It's just in your head. And because many of us on a GLP-1 medication lose weight so quickly, it tends to intensify that sense of body dysmorphia because, as I said, your brain hasn't had a chance to catch up to what it says on the scale, right? You can see logically, okay, I've lost, in my particular case, I've lost a little over 60 pounds from where I am. I know that on my body frame of 5'6" and a smidge foot tall, that is a significant amount of weight, right? But yet it happens so quickly that my brain doesn't register that when I look in the mirror, right? I still see somebody else. Now, do I see that person who is at 183.8? No, but I don't see the person either that weighs what I weigh on the scale. I'm somewhere in between. And that's where I said, I think you need to know that you're not alone and that it takes a while, right? And as I just said, because of how quickly we lose weight, or some of us, not everybody, right? So if you are losing at a slower pace, maybe you won't have as much body dysmorphia. And not everybody has body dysmorphia. This is not you lose weight, so you'll have body dysmorphia. I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen to everybody, but I think it happens to a lot of us. But if you're losing weight more slowly, maybe that's better from the standpoint of your brain being able to more easily recognize what you actually look like versus very quick loss and not being able to see that as much. So anyway, back to my point. What I was saying is that because many of us do lose much more quickly than you would lose normally, and it's because most of us have metabolic dysfunction, right? And so this medication allows our body to do what it should be doing and slowing down your digestion and all of those things and regulating your insulin, that you're able to lose weight more quickly or at all, right? So because it's happening faster than maybe some of us are used to experiencing, again, it makes it so that it is hard for your brain to wrap its head around how your body actually looks like versus how it looked before. So here are some ways that I think that body dysmorphia can show up kind of in your day-to-day life. The first is looking at yourself in the mirror and still seeing the old version of yourself. Now, as I said just a couple minutes ago, do I look in the mirror and see the person that I saw in the mirror, my starting weight? No, but I also don't see the person who weighs what I weigh when I step on the scale. It's somewhere in between. And I think, part of it for me is, and maybe some of you, I think a lot of us maybe have experienced this, is that I also didn't necessarily see myself as I really looked when I saw myself in the mirror at 180 whatever pounds, right? I look back at pictures now of myself at that weight, and I have a lot of pictures, right? Because I have a whole other YouTube channel that I've been filming since basically August of 22. So I have pictures going all the way back then. And my weight fluctuated a little bit, but I might have been even heavier at some points. I might have been up maybe into the 190s during the time between August of 22 and when I started on the medication in 24. But I don't think that I saw that person either, right? So it's really interesting how your brain can really play tricks on you, and it can do it in both directions, right? I mean, let me know in the comments below, do you now look at pictures of yourself back at your previous weight and look at those pictures and think, I did not look like that. I know what I looked like before, and that is not what I looked like. Because I can tell you, I definitely was bigger than I thought I was. So it can work in both directions. Another way the body dysmorphia kind of comes out is that you are really uncomfortable with compliments. Now, I think a lot of us will say that we're not comfortable with compliments. We don't like compliments. That's not my love language, for example, words of affirmation or whatever. It's just not. It's just not my love language. And it really does make me uncomfortable. I went through a phase with my husband back, oh gosh, this was probably 2012, 2011, around then. And I was maintaining that current weight, which, by the way, is about 25 pounds or so heavier than what I am now. But I really felt like I looked great at that time. And I think, honestly, even if I look back at pictures of myself at that weight, I will still say that I liked the way I looked then. It just happened to be that when I got to that weight post menopause, I didn't. I think I had probably more muscle back then, and so the weight that I was carrying at that same weight this time around wasn't the same weight, right? It wasn't the same body composition. And that's always something you need to understand, is that two people can be the exact same weight but look very, very different. And some of that has to do with just their body frame and how tall they are, obviously, and things like that. But it also has to do with body composition, right? Somebody who weighs 150 pounds but is 20% body fat is going to look very different than somebody who is the same height, 150 pounds, but is 30% body fat, right? I mean, this person has so much more lean muscle that their body is going to look completely different. So I just think that was probably one of the reasons why when I got to, because that was like my initial goal, right? But I got there and I didn't really love what I saw in the mirror. But at that time that I was talking about, like I said, 2011, 2012, I mean, I did not want people to compliment me. It wasn't like people weren't complimenting me before. I don't really know what I was going through at that time, because that was a good 6-7 years after I had gone through that weight loss. And so I wasn't really dealing with body dysmorphia then. But compliments can be hard. And I think a lot of us, if we've been overweight our whole lives, aren't used to receiving compliments. And there's also an aspect to compliments that sort of feel, I don't want to say backhanded, that's not the right term, but it's where you kind of flip the compliment on its head and think, okay, so what did you really think? You didn't compliment me before, so you must have thought I was unattractive before, right? I mean, at least you were subscribing to the, if you don't have anything nice, don't say it at all. But when you think about that, you realize, okay, they're giving me compliments now. What does that mean about how you thought about me in the past? I don't know about you. Maybe that's only me, but I certainly go through that mental exercise. So let me know in the comments below if you think that too. Another way you might see body dysmorphia is sort of constantly looking at yourself in a mirror or in a reflection of a window or something, just to make sure nothing has changed. Now, I don't do that in particular. What I find is, and again, let me know in the comments below if you experience this too, is I still really try to avoid mirrors pretty much at all costs when I'm out, right? I mean, obviously when I'm home and I'm brushing my teeth or in the bathroom, I can't not look in the mirror. I mean, I guess I could not look at, but you know what I mean. But when I'm out, for example, in sort of an uncontrolled setting, you never know what a mirror is going to show. Some mirrors are different than others. Or when I'm walking, like I said, on the street or something, I try to not look at my reflection in something. But every once in a while, I will catch myself in a reflection, especially I think as I'm walking down the street, like in a window. And I'll literally almost stop and be like, oh, that's you. So I think on the one hand, some people use a mirror or a reflection or whatever just to double check, oh, okay, I'm still good. I still, I'm still the weight that it said I was on the scale. That's not how it is for me. For me, like I said, I generally avoid reflections. And then sometimes when I catch my reflection, it shocks me. I mean, it's like, because I haven't fully associated the way I look with the number on the scale.
Hey guys, editing Lisa here. So I got to the last few clips, which, I mean, they were lengthy, but anyway, I don't know what happened, but there was no audio. So I'm just like that. And I thought about trying to do a voiceover over it, and I just thought that's just stupid because I have no idea exactly what I was saying in those clips. I mean, I know the general context of it because you've got some notes here. I've got my laptop, so I'm going to refer back to my notes. Anyway, all right, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and what we were talking about, I believe, was sort of how body dysmorphia rears its ugly head, or in what different ways it sort of you can experience it, okay? And so the next one is the feeling of pressure to stay the size that you are, or also the fear of gaining weight. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like that's a given for pretty much anybody who has been overweight their whole life and experienced the yo-yo dieting and all that thing, right? And especially if you've yo-yo dieted, right? Because just by definition, you're gaining and losing and gaining and losing, right? So of course you are going to worry about gaining the weight back. So that's one that can be attributed to body dysmorphia, but unfortunately I mean, let me know in the comments below, but I kind of think that's a universal one that everybody deals with. Next is comparing yourself to either old photos of yourself where maybe you really liked the way you looked, maybe a younger version of yourself or something. Maybe you were like some great athlete in high school or something, and now you're 50 plus years old and you're looking back at pictures of when you were, I'm a runner, I'm a track star kind of thing, and just not a good idea. Or even worse, comparing yourselves to others, right? What's the phrase? Comparison is the thief of joy. And it truly, truly is, you guys. I mean, it's 100%. It will just steal your joy. So enjoy your journey. Know that your journey is unique and yours, and that my journey doesn't look like my friend Susie's journey or your journey or anybody else who's online or anything. And that's unfortunately the danger of me making videos, for example, right? Is I never want somebody to look at how quickly I lost or what my body looks like now or anything like that, and use that as a basis for comparison, because we're two different people and we are absolutely going to have different journeys. And as I said earlier in the video when I was talking about how two people the same weight and even at the same height, for example, can have totally different body shapes. You can't, right? Just because if you look at me and you're like, okay, well, I'm also 5'6" and a smidge, and I weigh roughly 120 whatever pounds, and you think, well, but I don't look like Lisa. Like, you can't do that, right? I mean, I put a lot of effort into strength training and things like that. So the weight that's on my body is going to look different than the weight that's on your body. I mean, frankly, you might have an even more defined body than me, right? I mean, I don't want to compare myself to anybody who is roughly the same statistics as I have, and you definitely shouldn't do that either. So just word of advice, and I know it's hard, you guys, because trust me, I do it too. I absolutely do it too. Okay, yes, I know. I switched. I've had like an hour in between filming that last clip and this clip, so sorry. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place. So let's talk about what you can do if you are dealing with body dysmorphia, right? And kind of the first thing, and probably the most obvious, is therapy. Now, whether that is one-on-one therapy or group therapy, it probably depends on how much you think that it's affecting your day-to-day life, that kind of thing. I will say, I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about Friday's Health. So that is the telehealth company that I have used. I am an advocate for Friday's Health. And one of the many reasons why I love Friday's Health is because they have a mental health coaching component to their program. So, you not only get unlimited doctor's visits, they pay for your lab work, you can get one-on-one nutritional coaching, you can get group nutritional coaching, you can get movement coaching, you get access to a free fitness app. I mean, all the things, obviously, plus your medication. But they have a third component, as I like to refer to it, as like a three-legged stool. The third leg is mental health. And so every week they have multiple mental health coaching sessions where you can jump on with another Friday's Health patients and talk about what's going on. And I guarantee you that body dysmorphia is talked about in the group, right? Because as I said in the beginning, think lots of us deal with it. So if it's not something maybe that's really affecting you on a day-to-day basis or something, obviously you're the one that needs to figure out whether you really need, like a one-on-one therapy with a therapist that you can talk through things in a private setting and that kind of thing. But I think it's a great place to start, I guess, is with Fridays Health. So if you would like to save $100 on your first month with Fridays, and they have amazing prices on their prescriptions, for their membership, which obviously, like I said, includes the prescriptions. And they have multiple month options now, which is fantastic. So I would highly recommend checking them out. Just use the code LISA and that will save you $100 on your first month. I'll have the code up here. There's always a link in my description box. If you want to just do that, that's super easy to just click through that and it automatically applies the code at checkout. And that's why they have all of these components to their programs. So anyway, it's fantastic. So obviously that is one thing that you can do to, help combat some of the body dysmorphia that you might be experiencing. The second thing is to try to reconnect maybe with your body. I think doing things physically, help you realize like progress that you've made and how your body has changed, maybe in other ways other than the scale. So going for walks, taking up Pilates, for example, which is something that I do, yoga, meditation, deep breathing, things like that reconnects your brain with your body, I think can be really impactful. I think for me, strength training and really having that be a focus of my journey right now and doing Pilates has really reconnected me with my body and just how strong it is and how far I've come, right? When I look at pictures again, not necessarily from a weight, a thin or not thin I am. It's not about that. Now when I look at my body, I look at my muscle definition and I get so excited when I get to move up in weights with my trainer and just knowing that every day I do work out, I am getting stronger and stronger. So I think that's really helped me. Does it help me all the time? I still have moments where I suffer. That's what I talked about in the previous video. And I still do. I got a pair of pants from the TikTok shop actually like a week and a half ago or so, and I took them out of the package and I held them up and the waist was like, obviously it stretched, it was whatever, but I took it out and I was like, oh my God, those are never gonna go over my hips. They went over just fine. They're perfect. They feel so comfortable. Highly recommend, by the way. They're by Halara and they're amazing. If you want the look of a trouser, but feel like you are in an athletic feeling fabric, and anyway, they're fantastic. I'll try to remember to link them below. Anyway, check out my TikTok if you want to see more about that. Number 3, I know is hard for people, but it is avoiding the scale obsession. And I weighed every single day while I was in the weight loss part of my journey, but I didn't do it because I was obsessed with the number. I did it because I really wanted to see the natural fluctuations that I had in my weight during it, so that, if I only weighed on one day a week and, sort of for my official weigh-in day, that if the number wasn't what I expected, that can really set you back, right, mentally. I know some people do what's called like a happy weight, and they basically take an average over the week, and that's kind of their official weigh-in weight. When you get into maintenance, it's a hard balance. This is what part of my video was last week, talking about the balance of tracking and how, I've really gotten out of the habit of tracking, but this sort of push-pull, yin and yang kind of idea that I want to try to be as much of a normal person as I can. And so normal people don't really track, right? They don't track their macros. And obviously, some people do, obviously, but I guess my point is, I think there is a happy medium between tracking every single bite that goes into your mouth, which is what I did when I was in my weight loss phase, to tracking some things that are important, your protein grams, the amount of water you're drinking, maybe calories, but that's not something that I'm going to focus on. For me, it's really going to be about my protein and my water. That one, I think, is a fine line to walk. And the final thing you can do is just talk about it, right? That is one of the main reasons why I started this channel. Obviously, I wanted some form of accountability, but I wanted to be able to share my journey with other people so that we could have a dialogue in the comment section and talk about things, and I can hear about your experience, and obviously you're hearing about mine in a video, but it's that open dialogue of hearing what other people are going through and knowing that you're not alone and talking about it that can really help. I realize that some people may turn to Facebook groups for that. Unfortunately, I think, like I said, that there's quite a bit of misinformation and advice and things given in Facebook groups that shouldn't be there, but that's my own personal opinion. You do you. So as I wrap up this video, I think it's really important to know that you're not broken for feeling this way. It's just that your brain needs to catch up to where your body is. So don't beat yourself up because you look in the mirror and you still see somebody that's different, or you are just not feeling great about how you look right now, or other people say things and you just can't believe it, that kind of thing. It takes time. As I said in the beginning, when I lost that significant amount of weight back in 2005 and then maintained it for, like I said, 13, 14 years, it was really a good 2 years, I think, before I really just could look in a mirror and see the way I looked and walk into a store and take a size whatever off of the rack and know that that was my size, and not look at it and think, oh my gosh, there's no way that's going to go on my body. Kind of what I just experienced a week and a half ago. It just takes time. So give yourself some grace. And finally, we can be proud of our progress, but still be a work in progress. So it's going to take time. Just put one foot in front of the other. Maybe think about doing some of the things that I talked about, of what you can do, reconnecting with your body, talking in a group session, something like that, or with a therapist one-on-one. And it takes time, and we'll get there. So I really encourage you to share your thoughts and how you're doing with body dysmorphia if you're experiencing it in the comments below. We have some amazing people in our little sphere here on the internet, and I think we really can learn from each other. So I really encourage you to share if you are open to sharing. Please keep everything respectful in the comments. Somebody being vulnerable in the comments and sharing is not easy, so just keep it respectful. But I would love to have a dialogue with you guys in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. And if you enjoy this kind of content and want to continue to watch my journey wherever it takes me, then please click the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you will know every time I upload a video. If you want to keep on watching, there'll be another one on the screen here. And remember, kindness and hate spread the same. The choice is yours. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.